This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You're listening to the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. And now, here's your host, Lisa Rangel.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to the 51st episode of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. I'm Lisa Rangel, host of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast and founder of Chameleon Resumes. We're an executive resume writing, LinkedIn profile development, and job search consultancy firm that helps executives and high potential leaders land their next position faster. And on today's podcast, we're going to talk about how feeling stuck can hold you back and how to break free from that feeling of feeling stuck. Being mentally stuck in a situation, it can be difficult. It can be also very hard to break out of. And I've encountered this situation a number of times in my own life, and I find that the feeling can be physically heavy to carry around. And I know it's not uncommon. Many of us suffer from this. Being stuck is a burden to carry, and it's sometimes really hard to shake. Now, I know it's not as big a burden as other very apparent burdens such as poverty and illness and addiction and other afflictions people in the world experience. I mean, I do have it in perspective, but because other burdens can be worse on the outside, it doesn't make being stuck any less of a burden to contend with. And frankly, I believe it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be contended with, so to speak, because it's a common burden that we all share at some time or another. And I've talked to about a dozen job seekers or so in the last week or two that are just stuck. And being stuck in the job search has a number of signs that tell me and my team that you might be suffering from just being stuck in your search. Certain behaviors tell us that you're carrying this burden, and it's going to prevent you from moving forward if you let it. So some signs of being stuck in the job search or even in your career are that here, I have 4 here. So first is the job seekers waiting until they perfect the language on their resume before they send it out. And they keep asking every person they know for feedback. And since the feedback is different every time, I have a saying, show your resume to 50 people and get 75 opinions. So it's brutal when you start getting into that feedback circle. When you start getting into this feedback circle and you're getting different feedback every time, you're in this constant resume editing circle and you never break out of that circle. So you don't contact anyone for an interview. That is being stuck because you're never contacting anyone. Another sign is that the job seeker wants the precisely right list of contacts to reach out to before they start reaching out. And the key is to just start reaching out. And the conversations you have and the connections you make and the questions you ask will ultimately lead you to the next people that you do need to speak with, to try to psychoanalyze who's the exact right person to speak with and think you're going to get it right the first time. It's a point of obsession, and that, again, is a sign of being stuck. Another crystal clear sign to me was when someone tells me they want to have interview preparation down pat, but they haven't sent out a resume even. They don't even have an interview on the docket. Again, it's a sign of like worrying about a problem you don't have yet. And here's one of the bigger stuck scenarios that I see and hear about often. A person is worried about getting an offer at a company that he's not entirely sure that he likes. The recruiter called with interest, having looked at his LinkedIn profile and called about a job that he thinks he might be good for. And the person's just obsessing, like, what if it's not the right job? What if they don't like it? What if they take the job and they don't like it and it's not the right fit? Except when you really dig into where they're at, this job seeker hasn't even called the recruiter back or submitted a resume indicating interest. So they don't even have the details of the position, never mind having an offer to worry about. So again, you don't do anything. And I feel honored when people tell me the stories, but I have to tell you, it pains me to hear them because I can hear the pain and the frustration people experience as they're telling me their story. And one thing that's in common with all of these is that they assume things had to be perfect before they moved forward. They're worrying about a problem they didn't have yet. I'm telling you, the way out of feeling stuck is looking just for progress and not perfection. Perfection is paralyzing. And perfection is also subjective. As I stated with my saying, show your resume to 50 people and get 75 opinions. What's perfect for one person may be completely flawed to another and vice versa. So you wind up chasing something that is really different for everyone. And it's a paralyzing effect. It keeps you from not reaching out to people for your job search, that is. It keeps you from not moving your search forward or finding out different avenues for your career. And here's the best news, right? So here's the best news. You're already perfect. Everything is already fine. I want you to look at what you have and the gratitude for what you have now, and then stand with that knowledge. Stand proudly with that knowledge, and then send the document that you have, right? Reach out to one person to start. Just ask for a conversation. It doesn't even have to be a job search conversation, but just ask them how they're doing. And then reach out to the next person and do the same thing. When preparing for an interview, do as much research as you can and know that you're enough. And then just stop your research, knowing that you're enough and you've done enough. And if you get an offer you don't resonate with, when you've ultimately reached out to people and had conversations and interviews and you get an offer, if you get an offer you don't resonate with, here's a newsflash, you can always turn it down. So here's the thing. These are great problems to have. And you want great problems, right? You want an interview that doesn't go well because it means you had an interview. You want an offer that you might turn down because it means you got an offer. I always tell my kids, you're going to have problems. You're always going to have problems. So you want to make sure you have great problems and not bad problems. An offer you don't want, again, is better than no offer. Some interview prep with a confident stance is better than way too much prep that you're totally stressed out about if you did enough. Sending out an awesome resume and making connections is better than striving to make your resume perfect, whatever that definition is, and not chatting with anyone while you do this. You get unstuck by doing what's in front of you imperfectly. That's the key. Not to pull that Nike tagline, just do it, but sometimes you just got to do it. And if you need some hand-holding doing it, hire us to help you figure out what to do next and how to do it. We have an ultimate job search audit service. It's at chameleonresumes.com, job-search-audit. Let us help you get unstuck. Getting unstuck starts with one action. This action to take is hiring us for our ultimate job search audit. You go to chameleonresumes.com/job-search-audit. You don't have to do this alone. Hire us for personalized guidance on how to get unstuck. Let us determine what you're doing that's keeping you stuck in a lack of activity. It's being proactive and getting outside help. Sometimes that makes all the difference. Sometimes you can do it yourself. I'm a big DIYer, right? It's why I created this podcast. But sometimes you just need help. So if that's the case, go to chameleonresumes.com/job-search-audit. Invest in our ultimate job search audit program. Work with us directly, and we can pinpoint the behavior that you are doing that's keeping you stuck. Then we can give you the plan of what to do to get unstuck. Wouldn't that be a relief? This way you don't have to do this alone, and you can still maximize your efforts and make most of the time, the limited time that you have, to advance your career and get traction in your job search. So in past episodes, we talked about the only way to truly protect yourself from job loss is to pretend you're fired today and make a list of activities that you would do to start to find your next job. This is a key element in the pretend you're fired today action list. You want to be in demand when you need it, so therefore you need to create the demand before you need it. This way, if your job situation changes unexpectedly, you already have pent-up demand for what you do by doing these actions that I've showed you here today, as well as in prior episodes. Getting unstuck is an activity, so you can take action to get unstuck. And this way you'll be able to do these pretend you're fired today actions, and this way you'll always be secure. For the next episode of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast, we're going to continue to go through a list of tactics and activities to do now as if you were let go today to ensure that you are always employable and you are always ready for whatever the world brings your way. So the first item on our Pretend You're Fired Today list was getting your resume up to speed. And we cover that in episodes 1 through 8. And the second item on the Pretend You're Fired Today action list is updating your profile, your LinkedIn profile. And you can review those episodes in 9 through 12. And in the last 2-3 dozen episodes or so, some of the topics we've covered are how to work with recruiters, knowing the difference of what recruiters are, how to answer the salary question effectively on interviews, ways to create 9 hours of job search time per week. I mean, what would you do with 9 hours extra in your week? I could show you. Go to that episode. And the ABCs of job security. So you're going to want to revisit those episodes. And I'm so proud of you of taking these next steps to making yourself marketable when you don't really quite need it yet. Most people wait for that unexpected job change to happen. They don't even think it's going to happen to them in the first place. But then, bam, it happens. And then they're scrambling to learn this information while they really need the job fast. It's like a recipe for misery. So kudos to you for learning this and doing it before you need it. This will help you stay employable. Staying employable nowadays is not about staying in the same job for 20 years. That doesn't exist anymore. Staying employable nowadays is about being able to find your next job fast that is at the same or better financial or quality of life level than you have now. So that's what my goal is for you with this podcast. My friend saved me with her priceless advice, Pretend You're Fired Today, and I'm paying it forward with you. And I ask you to pay this sentiment of job security forward and share this with as many executives and rising professionals who you feel would benefit from this build the demand before you needed advice. Doing the steps suggested in this episode will help you get unstuck. Don't obsess about perfection, just do it. And in the next episode, we're going to dig deep in how to make your career economy proof. Whether the markets are up or whether the markets are down, I want to make sure that you are always employed, and most importantly, you know how to remain employed. And again, remaining employed is not staying in the same job for 20 years, although that would be nice, right? Remaining employed is about being able to land your next job fast that is equal or better than what you have now. So don't miss the next episode so you can know what to do. And in the interim, if you're stuck, go to chameleonresumes.com/job-search-audit and hire us to help you using our ultimate job search audit. And we can help you get unstuck and show you the actions that you need to do to create ongoing employability in your career. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Be well.
This is the podcastfactory.com.